Into every generation, podcasters are born. Two guys in all the world, chosen ones. They alone will wield the strength and skill to discuss the vampires, demons, and the forces of darkness, to lament the spread of their evil and the swell of their number. This is the Untitled Buffy Project.
In the 20th episode of Season 4, Spike is quite successful at driving the Scooby Gang apart, Angel makes a return to Sunnydale, and Adam begins his final phase. This episode was written by Doug Petrie and directed by David Grossman.
In this episode, it seems like we are supposed to be watching both Buffy and Angel to be getting the complete story all of a sudden.
They've made some sort of, head nods in that direction of, hey, and here's this other thing that happened on Angel that maybe you'd think is cool.
Yeah,
but
in the previously, it was end on Angel. And then they showed one scene, and you were like, wait, it's what? Faith? What? Wait, hold on! And then it was over, and then the episode was beginning.
Yeah, I hear, no, it's crazy. You hear Giles saying, and on Angel, and you're like, what?
And Carter and I are like, we're not watching that show.
We're not watching Angel. I don't want to watch Angel right now. And I'm fine that they're doing their thing on Angel, but, does it really, you're stepping on this other show that I want to be watching. It's like if they had done this is totally dorky. It's like if they had done something on Deep Space Nine that was really critical in the last season of The Next Generation. The Next Generation fans who aren't super fans of Deep Space Nine would have been like, why are you making me watch this show about this space station or whatever? I don't want to watch that. I want to watch the show that I want to watch.
Yeah, and the bigger problem is for things like exactly what we're doing. When you're watching it a decade later,
yeah,
and you're just trying to watch one of the shows and you're missing things that happen in crossover, that's annoying. It
is annoying. So, and it gets even more annoying. So I did not read the Wikipedia for the Angel episode that is related to this. I believe the episode is called Sanctuary. I didn't read it right away until the point where Riley meets up with Angel. Angel has been attacked by some initiative thugs.
Yeah, in the alleyway, and Riley shows up.
And Riley is under the impression that Angel is Angelus at this point,
right?
And that he has lost his soul, and we don't have any reason to believe otherwise if you've only watched Buffy. So at that point, I paused the episode. And I'm like, shoot, I gotta go read the Wikipedia on
right
Sanctuary.
Because you
did
all of
they
a sudden
sleep with each other?
Yes, you're wondering exactly what Riley's wondering. Did Buffy and Angel have sex? Did we miss that?
I read every sentence of the Wikipedia article, and I find no reason. I'm like, no, they didn't. And then I'm like, oh, well, I guess he's Angel, and he's just sort of being a jerk.
He's being Angel.
He's being Angel. And
dark and brooding.
Dark and brooding. I think Riley's
billowy coat.
King of billowy coats and dark and brooding man. And so I just thought that was kind of... I thought that was kind of lame.
Yeah, and 10 years later, it feels even more lame.
I mean, 10 years later, it comes up as a lot of the crossover stuff, it comes up as obviously desperate pleading to go watch this other show. And I don't want to. This is turning into a Sean and Carter have a podcast. Let's complain about something for a while. So something that I'm not going to complain about is at the very beginning at the top of the episode, someone, I don't know who, uses the phrase "hold the fort" correctly, and I just wanted to say, good job, guys.
Hold the fort. It was the Colonel reporting to, I don't know, some brass in Washington or something about the failing plan of the initiative.
Yes. So a lot of people say hold down the fort, which makes no sense. And they used hold the fort, which I appreciated.
Good job, Doug Petrie. He also worked in a whole bunch of pop culture references that I found really fun, so good on him.
Yo, I'm going to bring up one of them in a second. I mentioned a long time ago, what is the end goal of the initiative? We don't really know what they are trying to do. And
yeah, and we wondered about Adam, and our question was answered here.
Yeah. I think the question I asked was, is Maggie just a crazy bitch, or is this a thing that the government wants to do? And the government brass, and we learn progressively more about it, but the brass was basically said, the government has a lot invested in Agent Finn. And we're like, this is a project. And we're like, okay.
And McNamara is very upfront about the problem of the prototype escaping, and I was like, oh, so Adam definitely was a government project, fully sanctioned, not just like Maggie being crazy.
Right. I mean, she might have been crazy, but
Adam is definitely a known project.
Yes. One of the things that I love, Adam gives one of his stirring speeches to Spike, and he says, you're like Tony Robbins if he was a big, scary Frankenstein thing.
You're exactly like Tony Robbins.
You're exactly like Tony.
He could have, seriously, Tony Robbins could have played that character. He looks like it.
Yeah, he's big. Like, Tony Robbins is a lot older than him. When we talk about the last episode of the season where we get to actually see Adam as a real guy, he actually looks a lot younger than he does when he's
smaller.
And smaller.
It's kind of weird.
And smaller.
I guess all of that prosthetic that makes up his like Frankenstein-like chest adds some inches to his biceps and stuff.
Yeah, he's like George Michael wearing the muscle suit in Arrested Development.
Yeah.
So this episode is called the Yoko Factor, and Spike, getting marching orders from Adam, intends to foment dissent in the ranks of the Scoobies.
Isn't it interesting how well Spike knows all of them?
Yes, and I had a specific note about this, that yes, Spike is pretty good at this, but it's also the fact that the Scoobies are highly susceptible to this right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're all
he found the right time to strike.
Yes, like they have. This has been a slow burn across the entire season.
I think it has something to do with something you mentioned a little while ago about how the season seems to have gotten away from the writers a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it worked to the advantage of Spike wanting to strike a chord of dissonance because it really had happened in real life. Like, the show got a little bit out of control, so it was a perfect time for Spike to come in and just like light a fuse.
Yes. There's one fuse that he doesn't light specifically, and that is Riley with Angel.
Yeah, that one just kind of happens.
That just happened. So Riley is now in hiding in. They're not in Xander's basement. They're
no,
just like
he was hiding in the ruins of the old high school.
Oh, that's where they were.
Yeah, that's where they were.
Okay, I didn't get that.
I don't know if they actually explicitly stated that. I just know that.
Okay. I'm like, where are they? I don't know. I don't recognize it. I mean, Sunny.
I don't know why they have torn the damn building down.
Right? I don't know.
It's a burned out shell with like debris everywhere.
Right. Riley mentions to Xander
Marble Hornets could have shot there.
Probably. Riley mentions that Buffy told him everything, and Xander sort of
assumes that she really did tell him everything.
I don't know why she didn't tell him everything. That I found that very.
She kind of left out one of the most crucial details.
Yeah, that they had sex with each other.
She tells him all about the curse, but she doesn't mention like the thing that broke the curse.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know exactly what she tells him. And at the end of the last episode, they sort of I thought that they were trying to make it clear that she was like, I'm going to tell you about this part of my life now. And the fact that they had sex with each other didn't come up seems
weird.
Odd.
Or if she didn't at least hint that they couldn't have sex because of the curse.
Something. I don't know. So Riley has this line, and now she's gone down to Los Angeles, which we didn't know because we didn't see the Angel episode. Now she's gone down to Los Angeles to bone up on her history, and then Xander says, oh, no, I'm sure the history is boneless. So that's the first little fuse. So Riley is upset with Buffy because of this whole Angel thing, and, this doesn't come up, but, Buffy had reason to be a little upset with Riley before because he slept with Faith, even though Faith was her. All that.
It's a confusing situation.
Yeah. So the next thing that they light is Giles, and that's Spike. Spike just shows up at Giles's place. Why doesn't Giles lock the door? This is like the third time he's done this.
Yes, it is. I thought the exact same thing. You should really lock that door. Spike even tells him you should lock the door.
And isn't there an incantation that's, am I making this up, in like the first or the second season, like you can, if you've let a vampire into your house, you can do like these things and then they can't come in anymore.
Yes, I actually literally just mentioned this to Alicia because she talked about in True Blood, they can just say, I revoke your invitation, and the house will throw them out. And
cool.
in Buffy, they had to revoke Angel's invitation once he went. Yeah. Once he went evil, they had to keep him out of her house. So they had to do like a complex spell of some kind to make sure that he couldn't come in anymore. And it did work.
Yeah, it was after he became Angelus for the first time, and they like took some of his hair or something. I don't know, I'm making all this up. But I remember that he was in the house and talking to Joyce, and they were like, oh boy, we can't let that happen anymore.
Right.
I think it was Passion, actually. One of my most favorite episodes of all time. So, Spike shows up. Apparently he still has some pig blood in the fridge.
He used that as his excuse to get in.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I knew I had some left over here. I can always tell that he's making that accent up. That's not...
leave it alone.
Okay, I can always tell. Especially when he's talking to Giles.
Because you're like, that's how a real Brit should sound.
Real one, yeah. Oh, and a note that I had here, just sort of meta Buffy commentary. They're really good at having lots of different characters interact with other characters. They don't always interact like it's always Buffy and Willow and Xander and whoever. It's like they all kind of interact with one another.
Yeah, one of the first times you mentioned that was actually the same coupling. It was Giles and Spike when they were in the car, and Spike had to be helping Giles get around.
Yeah, or maybe I just like it when they have Giles.
It's weird for those two to be together, but when they are together, they just seem to have a natural... It doesn't seem that forced or anything.
Yeah, he walks in and interrupts Giles singing. Giles actually screams. He goes, ah!
Jumps up with his guitar. He was playing Freebird, by the way. I just want to point that out for anyone who didn't watch and may have forgotten. Freebird.
Fairly well.
Yeah, totally.
I enjoy his singing. Spike digs in at him that he's useless and Buffy doesn't need him anymore. And I think
he points out quite correctly that Giles is not her watcher.
Yes.
And he hasn't been for some time.
Emphasis on the past tense there, friend. You know how I know that it's a bad accent is that you can imitate it so well. Anyway, I'll move on. His parting shot at him is something like, she treats you very much like a retired librarian. It's like, oof. And immediately Giles pours himself a drink, and then I think like Giles is probably gonna get drunk now.
And Spike is like, good job done. Wipes hands, walks away.
Yeah, the major plot thing that happened there was he wants to strike a deal. And he basically says, like, I'm not going to strike it with you because you're worthless and I need to do it with the Slayer. But he says that he will lead them into the initiative and get some, or, he will get them some critical information. And in return, he wants, like, a year's supply of pig blood, a whole bunch of money, and a guarantee of...
No slayage.
Slayage, yeah. And, Giles says yes, but...
What good is your word, retired librarian?
Right. I mean, I think it's clear that's what's going to happen, but Spike made sure to totally eat away at Giles's confidence and really expose the sort of frayed nature of his relationship with Buffy, which has been going on through the whole episode. That's the thing that makes this so easy for him, is that these guys are on thin ice already.
Yeah, I mean, he points it out later, and it's the source of the title of the episode, that these Beatles are very close to breaking up already. They just need the little push.
The next fuse that they light is Xander and Anya, and then this will have more repercussions when they all get back together. Spike indicates that I don't know how he thought to do this, but that, he overheard some of the other Scoobies talking about Xander joining the military.
Yeah, and Anya is like, you can't do that. Why didn't you tell me?
Because they are, like, symbiotes at this point.
Right.
I mean,
do we ever see them apart, ever?
They're always together. Well, Willow says when they're in their really big fight at the end of the episode that, oh, you're going to join the military. You have to, like, go to, boot camp and stuff for that. Do you think the umbilical between you and Anya will stretch that far?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen Anya in a shot without Xander until the very end of this episode in a very long time.
Yeah, when she's in the bathroom with Tara.
And they're like, we don't have a dog in this fight.
Yeah, I know. And then they're like, it's a nice bathroom, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the tiling. Yeah, so Spike is just, at this point, he is just stirring stuff up. He is just, like, causing chaos. The next thing that happens, I was not confused, but it was just sort of like, isn't that convenient the way that it played out, that Buffy meets Forrest. Forrest is probably the most recognizable initiative soldier.
He's the only one left. There was that other one, but he got killed 2 episodes ago or something.
Yeah. Forrest has been there since the very beginning.
And obviously, I don't even know his name.
Yeah, I don't know.
The third one.
Yeah. So Buffy meets Forrest in the forest.
Yeah.
And then I had one note on here that the blasters always looked really super fake.
Yeah,
like,
don't they?
Oh, dumb. They spent their money on other things. But I was confused, like, why were they both headed to that cave? Because Forrest said, like, I've been deployed here.
Yeah, he had orders to check out the cave.
So maybe Adam influenced things so that he would check out the cave. But why was Buffy also there?
Because it's convenient. I don't know.
It was convenient, so they both go to the cave, and Adam's there, and oh my god, I was not expecting that at all.
He's like, right there.
Yeah, and he's like, hello, I'm Adam, and I'm going to, blow you all up. And this is where we find out that blasters do not harm Adam.
Yeah, it turns out that one weapon that the Initiative always deploys their soldiers with doesn't work on their prototype.
Yeah, it also didn't seem to be super effective against Buffy, but I'll let that slide. It doesn't work against Adam, and in fact, it makes him stronger. And he spikes Forrest. Just gets him.
Doink.
And then Buffy gets away. And you sort of get left with the impression that Adam let her get away.
I'm pretty sure he did.
She got knocked unconscious. He could have easily come out there and killed her.
He's trying to cause chaos. Why would he kill the Slayer right now? There's so much more chaos that could happen.
There's so much more chaos that could happen. And also, I have a note that it's really obvious that they only have one outdoor set dressing. All the outdoor, in the forest things always look like they sort of just take the same thing and maybe tilt it 90 degrees. At a cave or something. It's kind of like the original Star Trek series or something. So it's nighttime now, and we're back at Giles's place, and Giles is drunk. Spike shows up and pretends that he stole some critical files from the Initiative, and Willow is going to try and decrypt them or whatever. Giles has just been sitting there drinking the whole time, and he's drunk at this point.
Right.
And Spike also... He's very quick on this.
He notices Tara, just fingering Willow's hair, just in a cute little, hey, I like you kind of way.
Yes, and he puts together that they are close.
You practically see the light bulb ding over his head.
And then B, he knows that they're both witches and that he can
make it sound like he doesn't know.
Yes. It's like, I've heard Buffy and them talking about how, it's just this trendy fad that you two are doing and whatever. And they're like, what? They're talking about us? And Willow is already not super comfortable with the whole thing, and it totally just eats away at her confidence between, with her friends, and now it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, Buffy's initial reaction was she would basically compensated for her extreme surprise, and she didn't really compensate very well. So Willow still has this kind of bad taste in her mouth, Buffy's not okay with this, even though she is, but they haven't talked.
Yes. Willow asks her in that episode where she tells her that they are,
together,
and just are you gonna freak? So this is, at this point, we almost have everybody in place. Riley meets up. This episode is full of just Riley conveniently runs into Angel on the street. And I just had this one note that Angel should know better. Like, a lot of the heartache that happened between him, Riley, and Buffy was just because Angel, who knew everything, should just have made better choices, and he didn't.
Yeah.
He taunts Riley for no reason. He should have said, like, hey, I'm here to apologize to Buffy about whatever, has she talked to you about it? Like, I'm not here to be a jerk. I'm not here to be mean to you. But no, and then they end up fighting, and Riley almost gets caught by the Initiative, and they all end up at Buffy's place, and Riley pulls out a gun, and it's gotten super, super high tense.
Why did he pull out a gun exactly? Like,
why did Angel even care?
Does he think... I know, yeah, Angel even reacted like, well, I guess it would still hurt or something. I don't know. It's not convenient to get shot in the face, even if you're a vampire. But, yeah, why did he pull out a gun? Why didn't he pull out... Doesn't he have a stake or something? They're in Buffy's room. It's full of vampire-killing materials.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know.
It was a cool shot because they used a nice lens on it, so it looked like it was huge and in your face.
Yeah, it was a very cool shot. Buffy has to relieve all the tension
by telling them that she could kick both their asses if they don't knock it off. And
Yes.
She's exactly right.
She is. She's the Slayer. So she talks with Angel in the hallway, and they wrap up whatever happened in the episode of Angel that we didn't see. And he apologizes for being a meanie head or whatever.
Right. Which he should have done over the phone, like she pointed out.
Yep, no reason to come all the way up there from Los Angeles. And then she tells Riley, like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't tell you everything. Blah, blah, blah. Like, we've got bigger fish to fry. And then Riley, he says that he knows he's being irrational. Which I think that as a character that's a strong move, like instead of just being irrational and like, did you sleep with him? He's like, I know that this makes no sense, and it's just because I love you so much, and it's like I can't.
I'm just being a stupid, jealous guy. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah, and Buffy even says like, put yourself in his place. And it's like, yeah, that's true. Although Angel should have done the same thing. Like, especially because Angel is hundreds of years old.
Right.
Sometimes I think that they forget that.
You'd think that he'd have a little more experience under his belt with, like, being a person in the world.
Yeah, no, I think that you get this with Angel in some of the older episodes, and you get this with Spike, that Spike sometimes comes off as, like, a 29-year-old when he should be hundreds of years old.
Right.
Like, reigned terror across Eastern Europe in the 1700s, but and then it's just like petty with Drusilla and Harmony or whatever. So now we have all of the burning fuses all in one place, in one location at Giles's house, and they all go off.
Yeah,
and it's crazy.
Has there ever been a fight like this between all the main characters before?
I don't think so. Neither.
I don't think so.
Giles is just drunk and saying crazy stuff like, oh, you haven't been training with me. Adam's gonna kick your ass.
Tell us how you really feel, Giles.
Someone refers to him as Alfred. I think Xander refers to him as
Yes,
Alfred.
he does.
And then Giles goes a step further and says, oh, no, no. I am no Alfred, sir. Remember, Alfred had a job.
I'm useless.
I have no job. And, Willow is furious at Buffy because she doesn't think that she accepts her and Tara, and that's when Xander finally finds out. I think Willow actually says, like, you hate the fact that Tara is my girlfriend, and Xander is like, yes, and something else. And wait, what? Tara is your girlfriend?
Yeah, Willow thinks that Xander and Buffy are talking about her and Tara. Xander thinks that Willow and Buffy are talking about him joining the army. It's not a good situation.
It is. Everything is just going off, and Buffy just leaves. She straight up says, like, you guys can't help me. She even says, like, what could you possibly do? And they're speechless.
Well, I think she has a valid point.
That's true, but they do make her... I mean, we know from years of watching this that she's stronger when her friends are by her side.
Right. Her comment on the way out the door is, this is why there's not a prophecy about a Slayer and her friends.
Yeah, and that's that's just heartbreaking, especially because like this group has done really amazing things together. And she says like, I'm gonna go and like I'm gonna find someone who I can rely on or trust on or whatever. And uh, and it's like the entire group is fractured. Oh, and the one thing that when she was with Riley, she has to tell him that Forrest died,
Right.
and he just like gets up and leaves.
He says, I have to go.
And I did not know what was going to happen here, but I do have a note that it looks like a switch got flipped in his brain, because it's like he's like, I'm going now.
And
like,
you know what?
I have to leave the room.
Think you might be exactly right.